All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, and welcome to ODTUG's online education series. Today's webinar is Managing Hybrid Oracle Environments, presented by Jonathan Berry of DataVale. This presentation will be recorded and will be available to ODTUG members on the ODTUG website. Please feel free to put your questions into the questions box at any time during the presentation. They'll be addressed during the Q&A period at the end of the webinar. So welcome, Jonathan, and thank you for being here today.
Cool. Thank you, Karen. And as Karen said, my name is Jonathan Berry. You might remember me from such companies as Hyperion, Oracle, or Exceltis. And now we're coming to you from DataVale. And today we are talking about managing a hybrid Oracle environment. So just for clarification, this is where you might have an on-prem environment and or a cloud environment. We think there's going to be a lot of space in the middle where people have one foot in each camp, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So we'll do a little bit of background. We'll talk about our cloud solutions platform. We'll talk about the value of standardizing on a platform, and then we'll talk about some of the other higher value capabilities that DataVale has to offer. Okay. So the cloud platform, as some of you may know, I was the former founder of Exceltis. We were acquired by DataVale. So together we're bringing the performance management, application performance management cloud solution, which is really about managing environments on-prem or cloud, and it provides both a focus as our on-prem suite did, which is providing value to both IT and the business to give them insight and control. So if you're familiar with what Exceltis did for on-prem, this should all be very similar. But it has a strong lean towards supporting Oracle in the cloud as well. Okay. Excuse me. I'm going to be a little bit less verbose than I usually am, as I'm getting a scratchy throat, so no one will probably complain about that, but we'll be a little more brief than usual. So who would use the cloud platform? There's actually pretty much anyone involved will have some aspect that they can interact with, from the core users, which are our business and IT admins, to consulting firms which are helping out on the project, to reporting that could go to various levels of management, and finally through the help desk could be with the end users. And there's lots of ways to consume the information, and through an implementation we would determine the best ways to get the right information to the people who need it. This just kind of shows that DataVale with our performance management platform really can play anywhere. Again, we have a long history with on-prem, now combined with our EPM consulting practice. We have a lot of experience deploying cloud and managing cloud environments. And now with the performance management platform, we can bring this all together. And again, today we're talking about that circle on the bottom, which is the hybrid environment, which means that you have a little bit of on-prem and a little bit of cloud. Okay. So I won't go through each one of these, but just know that from a solutions perspective, there's capabilities that are on the top. On the bottom right, these are the underlying target applications that we support. Today we're really focused on Hyperion, both on-prem and in the cloud, but we support really any of these others as well. And in the bottom left, it just talks about the platform itself and what it has to offer, including standardized reporting, alerting, a very detailed and robust provisioning architecture, as well as I mentioned, different ways to use the product. So what we're going to go now is we're going to talk a little bit about some of the high-level capabilities. So I won't go through them here, but just know that it spans the range of things that are useful from a business audience to an IT audience to management, just as our on-prem platform has always done. And here you get a little bit of a breakdown of the different capabilities on the left and kind of where you might find them. And again, when we talk about a hybrid environment where there's a little bit of each, there's quite a bit of overlap, and then there's some things which are more relevant to an on-prem solution. There's some things that are more relevant to a cloud solution, but in a hybrid environment, we'll be taking advantage of all of them. Okay, so let's take a look at some capabilities, and when I'm done showing some high-level screenshots, I'm actually going to switch over. I'll show you a live running version of the solution, and then we'll wrap up by talking about some of the value adds beyond just the software. Okay, so for starters, when you get into the cloud solution, you'd have kind of an overview dashboard. It's going to give you in one screen a view of what your world is for your various environments. So if you have any pending alerts, or if you have any tasks that need to be addressed, you'll see it right here and can drill in right from here into the rest of the products. Okay. One of the main ones that people are interested in is health monitoring, and this is important whether you're in cloud or whether you're on-prem. Here we have some fictitious and defunct companies, but you can look at these as business units where you might have multiple environments, dev, test, production, SOX, non-SOX, sort of things like that. And in one view, you're going to get a view of what the health is of those environments. Is everything performing as expected? Or it looks like in my prod non-SOX environment, I have some issues that I need to address, so I could jump in and look at those in more detail. So if I were to get in, it's going to give me a little bit of history of why I'm getting those alerts, and it's showing me performance of various health checks. These could be synthetic transactions, simulating user activity, or views on CPU or memory or whatever it might be. And it's going to show me my thresholds. We might have wanted to be alerted once we broke a certain performance threshold, and what this is telling us is that for these various health checks, opening reports and running a planning business rule, I'm really only in the green zone 15 to 19% of the time, so I'm having some real trouble with this environment. Okay. And these can all be configured to your specs and what makes sense for your environment. Okay. Next, we'll talk about a regression port. This is really designed thinking with the cloud in mind, but it's useful for really any type of environment. And this is all about going from point to point in time, validating that the environment is performing as you'd expect it. And so for example, when you get an upgraded cloud environment and you have a certain amount of time to validate that everything's okay, the DataVeil regression report is going to help you get there very quickly, because what it's going to do, it's going to perform different types of tests across 3 areas. It'll do data tie-out to ensure that your data is what you expect. It'll run a basic concurrency test to show that at certain levels of concurrency that the environment is performing as expected. And then it will also do a baseline test, which could be a finite set of single documents to say, hey, everything is performing as you'd expect, and your data is what you'd expect, so you're okay to accept the latest version. Okay, automation, this is a really big critical piece of functionality, certainly for business users as well, and its relevance is clear from an on-prem or cloud environment. Really, automation allows you to create flows of tasks, and when I get into the demo, I will show how we can very easily pick a task that's relevant for on-prem or a task that's relevant for a cloud version of the product. But this is where we can orchestrate manual streams of activity. And here you'll see that if you're on cloud, you'll get examples for EPM Automate, which is the Oracle Cloud API for running automated tasks. But if you're on-prem, you'll have a whole other library that we can use. Okay. Configuration management, this is a place where if you're on-prem, you can get access to your various product configurations. We're working on doing some of this for the cloud as well, but it just shows that in one interface, we can manage both cloud as well as on-prem environments. And that's really the value, because as you start using cloud environments, you might be migrating over time to a more full cloud deployment. With the DataVeil Performance Management Platform, you're going to be able to do it in one place. So today you may just have on-prem, you manage everything from one place. You bring in a few cloud environments, you're still in that performance management console. And then when you're all cloud, you're still using the same tools and methods that you used when you're on-prem. So it helps ease the process of migrating into the cloud. Okay, project tracking. This is something that can be used for the client directly or with a partner. It's one place to help manage all of your projects, whether it's performance testing, implementations, or so on. It's integrated into the suite so that in the same console that you can see the health of environment, you can get a status of how your projects are moving along. Okay. Auditing, another capability that people who are familiar with our on-prem platform, this is really, many years ago, this was called SOX tracking because it was really relevant for Sarbanes-Oxley. Today we just call auditing, and it's tracking changes of various application elements, whether it's metadata or rules or forms or security. It's the ability to automatically detect when things change and take a snapshot and then show a comparison from point to point. Again, something that's relevant whether you're on-prem or in the cloud. Okay, I think this is the last one, help desk. You could consider this help desk or even change management. It is a ticket management system, but it also helps do some analysis on the tickets and provide diagnostics. So even if you're leveraging another ticketing system, this is something that we can integrate with and provide value beyond. So it was something to really round out the suite of solutions, whether you're on-prem or in the cloud. It's a place to help manage and analyze your tickets, and as part of the support process, the performance management platform has always played a big part of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to the the DataVeil performance management platform, and I'm just going to click on a few screens and just show a little more detail than we did with the screenshots. Okay, so I can log in and I can see right away that I have one low severity alert and one high severity alert. So I can log in, and I timed out. So let me just log in again. Timed me out after a few minutes. So let's click into health, and it shows me that under my prod non-SOX environment, I have something to review. And you may only have one environment, you may have 4 environments. It's how you define an environment. We think about it as, DR, dev, test, prod, that sort of thing. And this was really targeted for multiple companies or business units, but you may see more or less information here. But clearly I have an issue, so I want to drill down and I want to see what's going on. And I can see that some of my health checks are actually performing okay. This is over the last few hours, but I have one that is in the red. So I can come here and I can change the time. Let's see just what's been happening over the last 3 days. And I can see that, okay, I'm not hitting my SLAs very well, but the picture is not as bleak over 3 days as it is for the last couple of hours, because you can see we've gone up into the red zone. So this is giving me a view of how my environment's performing, and then I can drill in for more details to try to understand the history of what's been going on, or maybe what's causing the problem. Also from here, let me go back in here. I'll just show a quick view of that regression report. Again, regression report all about having a point in time status to tell us how our environment is performing. So if we're about to upgrade and we want to know that the upgrade, our data matches and our performance is good, we can just run the regression report and it's going to tell us, hey, everything's good, but I have a couple things that I want to look at because a report that used to take 40 seconds is now taking 2.5 minutes, and so on. So it gives us a point in time to say everything's good, or maybe there's something to investigate before we accept the latest release. A couple other things, automation. Again, this is all about streamlining business processes. So here we can have a data flow, and in the data flow I might have multiple tasks that I'm going to run. And these could be related to IT work, like upgrading a database, or it could be consolidating many years of data or things like that. And I can manage the flow and I can add jobs. And again, this is for hybrid environments. So if we're targeting a cloud environment, I can access everything that's available in EPM Automate. Whereas if I had an on-prem environment, I could get access to everything through the DataVeil Performance Management on-prem agents, which would have everything for Essbase or HFM or even operating systems and some specific capabilities within the performance management suite as a whole. The idea is I can build a flow of these, so I can have one task that does a job out in a cloud environment and another task that operates on a local on-prem environment, but in one place I can manage both cloud and on-prem environments. So as you move from one to the other, you're still using the same capabilities. Auditing is another thing. Again, this is all about change audit tracking. I mentioned that. The idea is that for various types of application elements, whether it's rules, metadata, Essbase outlines, forms, we can track that something changed, and you can come in and see a snapshot of this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looked like now. You could be alerted to changes or just get a report that shows what's changed and when. Okay, so I'll keep it simple on the interactive demo, but just wanted to point out that it's really about, in one place you can see all your environments, you can do your daily proactive management as well as your proactive performance monitoring, as well as some reactive investigation. And there's capabilities here that, again, may not have existed in such detail in our on-prem suite, including project tracking tasks, and a little bit of some of the things that we offer in the help desk. Okay, so coming back here, so why standardize on the DataVeil Cloud Solutions platform? Now that we see a little bit of what it's about, and the truth is, few companies are full cloud. There's a lot of companies that have some cloud environments that might be doing PBCS or the financial close management, but many companies have, again, they have a foot in both camps, and we really try to target that space, knowing that people are going to go from on-prem to cloud and help ease the transition. Because again, when you're in the cloud, you'll be using the same tools that you used before, something that you're familiar with, and it's designed from the ground up. It knows about Oracle Cloud and about the APIs and can present that type of data back. And it's also something that it's not just there as a reactive capability. It's not just there for if there's a problem, go do this. It has all these capabilities, whether it's auditing or automation, that can help the business process and IT process proactively on a regular basis. Okay. So beyond just the Cloud Solutions platform, there are services that DataVeil offers on top of the software itself. Okay, so you may be in the cloud or have some environments in the cloud. DataVeil can come in and help you with regular regression testing or performance testing against your cloud and or your on-prem environments. This is really useful if you're expanding, if you're making changes, if you're rolling it out for the first time. So it could be something to give, to help you with the confidence and reduce risk on initial rollout, or it could be that thing that we do on a regular basis, whether it's with every upgrade or every month or every quarter. Here's the validation that everything's working, and it basically takes the place of doing a lot of the manual work to validate that the environment is performing the way that you expect it to. Additionally, there are things that we offer in terms of application profiling. This is something that is specific for Essbase and HFM. This is the ability to profile business rules and identify where the time is being spent with the ultimate goal of improving business calculation time. So something that we've done for many years and we've had a lot of success with. It's still relevant in the cloud as it was with on-prem. Additionally, we could do ongoing monitoring, again, whether it's on-prem or cloud, the ability to not just alert when there's an issue, but to track performance over time and see whether performance over time is improving or decreasing, as well as alerting proactively as necessary. And lastly, whether it's part of an implementation or an upgrade or a migration to the cloud, DataVeil as a company has all the resources to provide both the software as well as the expert solution consulting to help you through the process. Okay. So we moved through that pretty quickly. Again, I kept it brief just because my voice is getting a little bit scratchy, so I think we did it in actually record time, but generally people will complain about that. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them now. If you think of any questions after we close down the broadcast, feel free to send them to myself or Ed DeLisi at DataVeil. Our emails and phone numbers are listed below. And as Kieran said, a recording of this will be available for you and I think other OOD TUG members once the webinar is complete. And I'm looking in the chat box and I don't see any questions, so I will wait for another minute or so, but Otherwise, thank you for joining, and once again, if you have any questions or would like to go into more detail, I'll be happy to do it. Again, I kept the interactive portion very short just because of my voice, but any other time, I'm happy to take as much time as you like to show details of the Data Veil Performance Management Platform. Okay. Thank you very much for joining.